Sean Spicer tear into CNN's Jim Acosta after what he called Trump voters, by Carmen Sabia, Politics US News for MadWorldNews.com. It comes as no surprise that CNN's Jim Acosta didn't think too highly of those of us who voted for President Donald Trump. However, what is shocking is how he thinks he can publicly spew his vitriol unchecked. Well, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer wasn't having it, and he tore into Acosta after what the White House correspondent said about Trump supporters. If you voted for President Donald Trump, CNN White House correspondent Jim Acosta thinks you are a moron. What is the gist of what he said is said in a recent interview with Variety for a hit piece on the president that was published this week. But what he did not expect was the shellacking he took from former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Acosta shared his interview time with CNN contributor April Ryan, another frequent critic of the president, to discuss what it is like to report on a combative, quote, White House. In other words, what it is like to spend every day covering the president and not covering for the president like they did the entire administration of former President Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, where they were covering for him. Acosta and Ryan said they were afraid that President Trump's accusations of fake news at journalists would cause an anarchy around the world. Fake news by the president saying this is not just a cute little statement for some, Ryan said. This has tentacles. It is reaching overseas. I am hearing from European leaders who are saying it can really destabilize democracies. They are very concerned, she added. For the most part, it has been just an exasperation of really inappropriate and occasionally violent wishes on social media, she told Variety. They have it the other way around. It's the liberals that are inciting violence. But for a few members, there actually have been interactions that I would say are unquestionably threats, where they need to get authorities involved. This is very worrisome and troubling. Yeah. She does not believe that President Trump wants reporters to be attacked, but she thinks his word could cause that to happen, particularly in a crowd setting. The risk of inciting a crowd and things getting out of control is very real, and the United States has really never been a dangerous place to be an American political reporter, and I think that is a threshold I really don't want us to cross, she said. But Acosta took it further, insulting the intelligence of people who voted for President Trump. The problem is that people around the country don't know it's an act, he said. They're not in on the act, and then they take what he says very seriously, and they take attacks from former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer and Sarah Sanders and what they do to us on a daily basis very seriously. They don't have all their faculties in some cases, he said. Their elevator might not hit all floors. My concern is that a journalist is going to be hurt one of these days. Are you kidding me, Jim Acosta? Maybe the elevator ain't going up to your floor in your brain. The CNN reporter took to Twitter to defend his statements and do damage control by claiming that his quote was misrepresented. Regarding my interview with Variety, my comments have been twisted by some outlets. As you can plainly see, I'm not referring to Trump supporters. I am talking about people who threaten journalists. And we have him on tape now, and you got to hear it to believe that he's outright lying. Regarding my interview, there is his tweet. I'm talking about people who threaten. Yeah, I get that Acosta thinks we cannot read, but those were his words we read. No one said they heard Jim Acosta say that the president's supporters in some cases have an elevator that might not hit all floors. He said those words. He said them to another elitist reporter as he sipped espresso and laughing at the redneck hillbillies he thinks we are. And we have him on tape here. Sean Spicer was not impressed. Let me go back. Wait, let me try it. That's right here. Okay.
Your good friend from CNN, journalist Jim Acosta.
Very close.
Very close, right?
I mean, I'm not wiping anything off his jack, I'll tell you that.
Well, he mentioned your name yesterday.
I heard.
And
on Fox and Friends, I heard.
Insinuated a few other things about the rest of you. Listen to him.
The problem is that people around the country don't know it's an act. They're not in on the act. And they take what he says very seriously. And they take attacks from Sean Spicer and Sarah Sanders and what they do to us on a daily basis very seriously. They don't have all their faculties in some cases. Their elevator might not hit all floors.
Whoa, so he's saying that the president, his demeanor, that's all an act. That guy on TV and at the state dinner, that's all an act. And the people who voted for him are crazy.
Well, Act 1, get more jobs to American people, complete. Act 2, strengthen our position in the world, complete. I mean, if this is an act, it's a pretty good play because right now the American people are benefiting pretty well. So bad on him. Look, part of the reason I wrote this book, The Briefing, which is which is because I talk about some of those interactions. But
so Jim might make the book.
Oh, I think he's in the book.
What does it say though seriously about the voter? Because we had the voters were called deplorables.
Right.
The voters that he's calling them, they don't have their faculties.
Yeah.
That they're
well,
stupid.
I think this is and it's sad to see that in all seriousness. Because what I think it continues to show is a lack of understanding. We saw an executive from ABC News after the election talk about we need to get a firmer grasp of what's going on in this country, which I think is a good sign. I think when folks in these big urban areas who have been sort of around an elite group of people in the media or in Wall Street finally get to understand what's going on in rural America, the troubles that they feel, the way they feel that they've been left behind, and why this president is addressing their concerns is important. So for Jim not to understand that, and for him to continue to dismiss and frankly make fun of and ridicule people around this country is really sad and really shows you how little of an understanding they have of what's happening in this country.
They still think they're saving America from the president.
I know.
That's
and that's again. I don't mind that from a liberal activist. I get it. I've been doing this a long time. But when you have a purported...
He's the White House
correspondent saying that the people don't get it. That's a problem. And when you're further insulting them, saying that they don't have their faculties, I wasn't attacking Jim. Frankly, I was attacking the premise of bad stories, bad narratives, false information. And I continue to believe that that's important because I believe in I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in a robust press, but I don't believe that false narratives should go unanswered. And I think the lack of his understanding of what's happening in this country is still a fundamental problem with so many people in the mainstream elite media.
Tomi Lahren earlier loved it. She
was fired up.
Yeah, she said, I'm glad this only helps Republicans down the road. Do you agree with that?
I do, because I think what happens is people who may not even agree with the president or Republicans on all issues say, you know what, at least they're willing to try and address our concerns. They're willing to listen. And what most people want more than anything else is someone to understand the plight that they're going through, to be willing to help deal with some of the problems that they're facing. And when this president has clearly given them voice, and I think that's important.
Sean, thanks for dropping by.
Guys.
Remember, his book comes out in July the 23rd. It's called The Briefing.
Thank you.
You can buy it now.
Well done.
The Briefing. Thank you.
Well, you heard him with his own words, and he tried to back out of it. And that is the issue. Jim Acosta is a liberal activist, not a journalist. He is aware that his fights with Sean Spicer and now Sarah Sanders bring his network ratings and bring him closer to the primetime opinion show that he desperately wants to host. If he has to insult us deplorables to get it, that is just fine with him. It's not even that. It's like the guy is just off his rocker and he's blaming everybody else. I mean, what? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We have him on tape. You can't deny something he said. It's crazy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.